Welcome back, everybody. Today we're here to look back at The Walking Dead Season 9 because next week Season 10 begins filming and then Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 begins. So we're getting ready to head into The Walking Dead Season once again. So I want to take this time to look back at Season 9, and this is going to be my ranking video. I'm going to be ranking all 16 episodes of The Walking Dead Season 9. With that being said, I would love to read your rankings, so be sure to leave them in the comments down below. I mean, this is a tough list for me to put together because Season 9 has been really good from beginning to end. I mean, there's been a couple of standout episodes here and there, but even the ones in the bottom of the list, I really enjoyed this episode. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts and opinions, because I feel like there's gonna be I feel like the lists are gonna be very, like, the middle of the list for everybody. I feel like it's gonna be very different because we have the best episodes and we have maybe some of the slower, weaker episodes. But other than that, all the ones in the middle have been relatively good throughout. So I'm very interested to hear other people's rankings. So get down there and do your rankings. But enough of me talking. Let's just jump right into this, starting off with number 16, and that is Stradivarius. So the reason Stradivarius comes in last for me is because not much happened in this episode, plot wise and writing wise. This episode is actually very interesting because Michael Cudlitz directed it, and the parts where his direction stood out was the best parts of the episode. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Michael Cudlitz fan of, Abraham and this and that, but really, I mean, I remember there was a scene in this episode when they were walking on the road, and there was a very creepy shot of somebody spying on them through the woods, and just like real little moments like that really made his directing shine, which was the best part about that episode. But other than that, there wasn't much plot wise. This episode was the group traveling from Alexandria to the hilltop, and that was really the majority of the episode. So there wasn't much going on. That's why it came in last for me. At number 15, we got Adaptation. Now, this is where I think people are gonna start getting mixed, because I can definitely see some people loving Adaptation, which was episode 9 if you didn't know, the mid-season premiere. But for me, it wasn't my favorite episode. Don't get me wrong, I like this episode, but again, all the other episodes really, when I look back at season 9, I see myself enjoying other episodes more than this one. The episode was filled with great dialogue and great moments between the characters, especially Michonne and Daryl when they came back from the graveyard. We had a little bit more of that graveyard scene, which was just one of the best moments ever in season 9. If we got more of that in this episode, maybe this episode would have been higher on the list. Also, it was the introduction of Lydia, so don't get me wrong, and at the end we got Alpha, so don't get me, I mean, I know I'm probably sounding crazy because just on me explaining this episode, it looks like it seems like an amazing episode, which it was a good episode, don't get me wrong, but again, like I said, looking back at the rest of season 9, the other ones were just more exciting for me. Now, coming in at number 14 was Bounty, which was episode 11 of season 9. Now, this was Alpha's first full episode after her flashback episode, and Alpha's would save this episode for me. I thought Alpha was great. It was her first full episode. I couldn't help but not love that. Or episode 10 was her first full episode, but that was like a flashback. You get what I'm saying. But the thing that kind of made me not like this episode as much as I really hoped I would was the whole kingdom stuff. Looking back at what they did at the movie theater, it wasn't that big of a deal. I feel like they took too much time out of the episode to do the whole movie theater thing, and the movie theater, it did come around with the highwaymen and the fair and stuff, but I just feel like they spent a little too much time there just getting like the whole projector and stuff. But that's really the only criticism I had for the episode. Alpha was amazing, and I really overall did like this episode. However, at number 13 we have The Storm, which was the season finale. I'm sure you guys already know why this is not as high on the list. It wasn't as exciting as the other episodes. That's obvious, and it was an episode that didn't have to be as exciting, but it was still a good episode. It was our first snow episode, which is why it's not like this episode, you could argue, could be possibly the slowest episode, but the fact that we got snow and we had a lot of good character moments, I still overall did enjoy this episode, especially that ending with the radio. That could set up a bunch of stuff. So with the snow and the great character moments is why I did like this episode, but other than that, it was a slower one. For number 12, we have The Bridge, which was the second episode of season 9. It was an episode way back. I feel like a lot of people forgot about this episode. I mean, so much happened in season 9 that it's like kind of. I feel like the first 6 episodes of season 9 was a different season, because it really kind of was like it was its own little thing. Setting up Rick and Maggie's exit. But episode 2 I thought was great. The whole bridge stuff. This was the episode where they were building a bridge, which came back around to be very important. We had a lot of great Rick and Daryl moments in this episode. That whole moment when the walkers are coming through and they had that whole log thing. Overall, a really enjoyable episode. But unfortunately, it may be a little bit of a forgettable episode, so it's not as high up there, but I did enjoy this one. At number 11, we have Scars, which was the flashback episode for Michonne, and I liked this episode, I really did. It was one of the slower episodes, but again, we need slow episodes, that's okay. But the whole Scars thing kind of blew me away. Like, I didn't expect it to play out the way it did. The episode had me intrigued from beginning to end, and for a flashback episode, for a bottle episode, whatever you want to call it, that's great. It was a great example of, taking it back from the big moments in season 9, or like the big plot that was happening in season 9 with the Whispers, taking it back a step and focusing on one character and telling what happened to her, or two characters, that is, Daryl and Michonne. And it did a great job of doing that. And I know heading into this episode, I was a little bit worried, because The Walking Dead, we've known in the past when they've done bottle episodes, it may not be as good as the regular episodes. But this one was definitely stood out as one of the better bottle episodes The Walking Dead has had. So I did like this one. Now we're into the top 10. So kicking it off at number 10 is Guardians, which was episode 12. It was Beta's first episode. Overall, a really good, enjoyable episode. I do wish Beta's entrance was a little bit stronger looking back. He just kind of popped into the frame and took out Henry from that ditch. And they kind of showed it in a trailer, which is also why I kind of felt like it wasn't as strong as it could be. That's really my big complaint with the episode. Other than that, a lot of great character moments. We focus a lot of great character moments within the Whispers. That is, we focus a lot on the Whispers. We got to see that comic book moment when Henry, or it was Carl in the comics that came after Lydia. It was Henry in the show. We saw that. A lot of tense moments too. That big confrontation at the Whisper camp with that one Whisper disagreeing with Alpha and her kind of slicing her head, which was foreshadowing for the finale. A lot of good moments. So I did enjoy this episode. My big criticism is that I do wish Beta's entrance was a little bit more stronger. At number 9, we have Who Are You Now, which is episode 6. It was the first episode after Rick's final episode, and I love this episode. It was a world-changing view of The Walking Dead. It kind of felt like a new beginning again. It was like episode 1 all over again, which was great. We got the introduction of new characters. We got our first little tidbit at the Whispers. It was an overall really good episode. Just seeing how much things have changed within the 6 years, and seeing grown up Judith talking to Negan. A lot of stuff in this episode really blew me away. And looking back at it, it's a very monumental episode in all of The Walking Dead. It's one of those episodes that really changed everything. Like, it's a new beginning all over again, and this could easily have been like a premiere or something like that. And the fact that it was episode 6, just like in the middle of the season, it was also kind of shocking for The Walking Dead. But other than that, really good episode. Coming in at number 8 is Warning Signs, which was episode 3, and some people could argue this is also a forgettable episode, but I freaking love this episode. And the reason I loved it is because, and I'm gonna make this one real quick, and this video is already pretty long, but this episode, the one reason why it's so high up on the list is because of that ending. The ending of this episode is the perfect way to end an episode. When Maggie and Daryl walked up and saw, the Oceanside woman killing the Saviors, and when Arad said exactly what Simon said to Cindy's brother, I think it was, like, no exceptions or something. Oh my goodness. Like, that's how you end an episode. And when they walked back and they were planning to kill Negan, like, that's a good ending to an episode. That's a good, like, kind of like a cliffhanger type episode. It's not, you wouldn't even consider it a cliffhanger. That's just a great way to end an episode and want fans to watch the next one, because I could not have, like, after watching episode 3, I was waiting, like, I could not wait for episode 4. So that's really why it was so high up on my list, is because I love that ending. At number 7, we have Omega, which was episode 10. Also Alpha's real introduction. It was her flashback episode. And this is a great episode because of how well they fleshed out Alpha. We've never really had an episode like this, really. They kind of did a little bit with the governor, but this was like a full-on fleshed out backstory for a character, and it was amazing. I was like so hooked into this episode and so sold on Alpha's character, and I was like, and really creeped out by it, and it was overall a great episode and a great introduction episode for a character. At number 6, we have The Obliged, which was episode 4, season 9. And this episode was so tense and had 2 amazing moments. The Rick and Daryl moment is by far, I think after this season, seeing what happened to Rick and everything, I think this is my favorite Rick and Daryl moment. I mean, easily the best Rick and Daryl moment since the season 4 finale. That's for sure. When Daryl said, "You're my brother," or Rick said, "You're my brother." But yeah, this is like my favorite Rick and Daryl moment. It also had an amazing Michonne and Maggie moment, an amazing Maggie and Negan moment. And this episode didn't have much going on as for action, but such a great written episode. Such great dialogue, such great character moments, and it's an episode that could easily be one of the best episodes of the whole Walking Dead, really. At number 5, we have A New Beginning. Wow, I mean, The New Beginning, I feel like that episode came out so long ago, which it kind of did, but I don't know. I just feel like that. I don't know. That's like a whole new. I feel like the journey we've been on in season 9 has been insane. But A New Beginning, I don't even think I need to say much about it. This episode is fucking awesome. So much happened in this episode. It was literally the new beginning from the comics coming to life. Seeing the group go, like, the transition from season 8 to this was amazing. Like, seeing the group go back to its roots and traveling and scavenging and going into that museum as a group, doing things together as a community, as friends, as family, really is why this episode is so high up on the list. I fucking love this episode. At number 4, we have Choke Point, which was episode 13, and one big moment is why this is on at the level it's at number 4 is because of the Daryl and Beta fight. That Daryl and Beta fight was really, really amazing. It held up to its expectations. It was a fight we've been building up for a long time, because they even teased it in the trailer or something. And we finally had in episode 14. That whole knife fight was great. I mean, not even like the whole Beta thing is why I love it so much, but really the whole episode was constructed almost like a horror film, which is also why I really liked it. The whole group in that, not the whole group, it was like 3-4 people inside that building, and we had the whispers coming after and they were all split up, and like there was one whisper after each person. It was a really good constructed episode, and you can definitely see some horror film influences, and that's also why this whole season has been amazing, because it looks like The Walking Dead finally went back to its roots of being a horror TV show. So all of that put together is why I really like this episode. So kicking off the top 3 is The Calm Before, which was episode 15. So the reason that, better known as the Pykes episode, let me say that. So the reason I love the Pykes is because they did not even do it similar to the comics, which is a good thing. I think only like one person who died in the show, Tammy, I think she was the only person who died in the comics, did the same thing. Everybody else was different, which I respect for them. I respect AMC and The Walking Dead to do that, because there was a lot of surprises in there, like Henry and Rosita. Oh, not Rosita, Tara and Enid. Especially those 3, Tara, Enid, and Henry. That was a big surprise. And none of them died in the comics, which was like, I was like, those really shocked me. So I gotta respect them on that. But not only that, they actually executed very well throughout the episode, like building up towards it. Like people missing throughout the episode, Alpha coming into the kingdom, and following people and looking at people, how scary that was. And don't even get me started at that whole ending when Sadiq was telling the story and they cut to everybody tied up in the barn and people fighting. Like, that was so beautiful. Like, I love that. That was great directing and great, I just love how they added that, because none of that was really in the comics. And I love how they showed that they went out fighting, because that was a lot of people who died. In the moment when everybody was fighting back, easily one of my favorite moments of all The Walking Dead. So I absolutely love this episode. Alright, so in second place, we got Evolution. I love Evolution. It was the mid-season finale of season 9. It was the big introduction to the Whispers. And it has one of my favorite, if not my favorite, kill ever from a villain. And that was that You know, when Jesus was killing those walkers, now Walker ducked and did some 360 shit and just like stabbed him through the heart. I was like, damn. I mean, that was amazing. And this episode was like the whole atmosphere, the tension, the tone is what I want in a Walking Dead episode. Like, that's why I fucking love this episode so much. I mean, that's what The Walking Dead, that's like why The Walking Dead is what it is. I mean, that's what The Walking Dead should be always, really. I mean, at least more frequently throughout this season. Like, that type of tone is what I want from a Walking Dead episode. And it was, and on top of that tone and all that stuff, that kill is why this episode is one of the best ever. And my top two, you could make arguments that these two could possibly be some of the best episodes ever. And all of the 115 plus episodes The Walking Dead has, you can make arguments that these could be in the top 10. I mean, this could be in the top 10. That goes to show again how amazing season 9 is. But and number one, my favorite episode of season 9, I'm sure you already know what it is because I haven't talked about it yet. The most iconic episode of all time, What Comes After. Episode 5, aka Rick Grimes' final episode. And no, I'm not saying it's my favorite episode because it was Rick's final episode. They actually pulled it off in an amazing way. They sent us on this nostalgic journey with Rick Grimes, going through the entirety of The Walking Dead. You know, going back to Shane, going back to Herschel, going back to Sasha, going inside of that room in the hospital, and we seeing everybody Rick Grimes have come across. Like, it's an amazing, you know, monumental episode that pays such a big tribute to the man who started it all. And they pulled it off. It was not cheesy in the slightest way. It was an emotional journey. And that ending when he blew up the bridge and he survived and the helicopter came and saved him. Like, that's what I wanted out of the episode, and that's what I got. So, I mean, it's truly a remarkable episode. And you know, there's not even much more to say other than that. Like, I think it's pretty obvious why this is number one for me. So there you have it, guys. Those were my rankings for The Walking Dead season 9. Let me know in the comments down below, you know, your rankings. Be sure, I'm definitely interested to read them all. I feel like it's gonna be a very diverse ranking, especially during the big middle chunk of the rankings because of how amazing season 9 has been as a whole. You know, if you ask me to rank these episodes in a couple months, maybe after rewatching them, I most likely will be changing some of the ones in the middle, you know. The ones up higher, like What Comes After and Evolution, they might stay most likely. But other than that, the rest of the episodes, like this season has been relatively good throughout. So it's an amazing season. So let me know in the comments down below your rankings. Next week, season 10 begins filming, which I'm very excited about because we always get good information during filming season. And then also in a couple of weeks, season 5 of Fear starts. And I can't wait for that because season 5 is looking really good. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to be kept up to date with anything new that comes out in the world of The Walking Dead. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like rating. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.